Good morning, welcome back to the channel, and today a repair video. Unfortunately I've got a problem with the rear brakes on my 79 Austin Allegro. I think one of the rear wheel cylinders has unfortunately let go, so I'm going to take it apart, get the drum off and just find out what's going on inside, and if necessary I've got a new cylinder, so let's take it apart and see what's going on. Right, obviously I've got the car jacked up now. The first thing to do is to remove the wheel, so I'm going to crack on with that. Obviously I've loosened the wheel nuts, remember to do that before you jack the car up. Actually got a windy gun, of course. Three. Four. Just get that out of the way. I can bring you in for a closer view. Right, so first, before we can get the drum off, we need to take that dust cap off, and then there's a hub nut behind that, so I'll just tap that out quickly and then we'll try and get that off. Just need a couple of gentle taps to get the dust cover off. Like that. Now there's a split pin in there which we'll need to get out first, so I need to get a pick or something or some pliers, so I'll just go and grab that. This will wipe so I can see what I'm doing. When I bought the car, I thought one of the rear wheel bearings had gone on this side, so I took everything apart and re-greased it. It turned out to be a buckled wheel, so it needed doing anyway because the car's been sat for so long. But okay, one split pin. I'm going to replace that with a new one later. And then there's a little collar or castle nut which just stops the nut coming undone when the split pin's in place. That needs to come off. Put that somewhere clean and grease free. And then there's a hub nut. Now these, a lot of people over tighten these, and it even says on their end flows essential. You never over tighten these, tighten them up till the drum binds and then back it off a degree. That's catching a little bit, so we might need to clean and adjust the shoes. 24mm nut, and that is actually already loose, so I can just undo that by hand. Now when you remove this drum, part of the bearing will come with it, so just be careful not to damage anything or snag anything as you're taking it off. There's also a washer there which I haven't removed yet, that'll come off with the drum. So I'm just going to try and leave it all off together. There we go. Right, put that somewhere clean and dry. The lighting. Okay. Alright, I'm going to take these shoes off and I'll show you how to do that. Let me get the camera in a second, I'll show you. Right, so now you can get a better view. Get the light on there. That's the rear wheel cylinder, which I suspect is leaking from the back, because I can't see any signs of leaking from here, but I'm going to clean all this up anyway. That's the brake adjuster, that stays in place. There's two spring clips here. There is a special tool to remove these, but you can get away with pliers, which is all I've got, so that's all I'm going to use. There's a pin which goes, I don't know if you can see that, from the front to the back of the shoe. They withdraw backwards, but you need to remove their spring collars first, so I'll get those off, and then the shoes will come out as one piece, or rather two pieces joined together. You don't need to remove the springs, they will actually just, with a bit of wiggly jiggly, will come off in one piece. And then we need to get to the wheel cylinder, which is held on from the back, so I'm going to try and crack on with that and then film some progress once I've got some. There we go. Just one that. Wunderbar. Right, Right, so 2 springs out. That could be fun putting back, I can tell you. Now it's just a question of manoeuvring the shoes off, so with a bit of leverage, I might need to get a pry bar in here. There we go. And that should now come off with a bit of a wiggle. I think you can see that. That's the back of the handbrake mechanism. That's obviously levers into the bottom of the shoe there, so you've got to be careful to manoeuvre it around that. Kind of like. There we go. Carefully withdraw. Marvellous. Right, so now that's apart, the next thing to do is to give it a thorough clean up, because I don't want any bits of metal on here when it all goes back together. Get all the dust and debris out, and then the wheel cylinder itself is held in place with a horseshoe clip, and there's also the solid line which needs disconnecting, so I'll just put the camera on the back and show you that quickly. Right, so around the back, that's the hard line there. That's going to be interesting coming undone, but they normally come undone with a bit of penetrating oil and a bit of persuasion, but you've got to be careful not to break the line, because if that happens it's game over. That rubber boot there, that just stops the dirt from getting into the back of the wheel cylinder. Also there's a spring clip behind it, or a horseshoe clip as I call it, and that's the handbrake mechanism which we'll need to pull out the way so we can crack on with it. But yeah, let's see how this goes. Right. So what you can see, if anything, that's a good fit. I would have preferred a multi-point span on here, but God almighty. Right. I might have to come out the other side and get some leverage. Bit more penetration. Whee. It's going slowly but steadily, because you do not want that part to snap, which is entirely possible when you have a very bad day. This is the bit I was dreading, really, getting this undone. Pipe doesn't look that bad, actually. There we go. Right, I'll just get a little pot under that to catch all the brake fluid. So behind this rubber gaiter there's a horseshoe clip which needs to be removed, so I'll try and manoeuvre this out of the way without damaging anything. Right, some progress has been made. Gaiter's out of the way. That's a pain in the arse, that was. But now that's out of the way, I've got to knock this clip out, and that's what holds the wheel cylinder to the back plate. So once that's out of the way, I can withdraw the handbrake mechanism, and then it's just putting it all back together again with a new unit. Right, so that's those 2 clips out. That one went behind that one, like that. I can reuse those because they're perfectly serviceable. So now I've just got to withdraw the cylinder. So I should, in theory, be able to remove this now. There we go. I'll give that a thorough inspection and find out why that was leaking. But yeah, all that because of one cylinder. Right, new cylinder's in. I'm just in the process of connecting the spring clips up to hold it in place, and then it's on to connecting the pipe up. Right, cylinder's in. Now it's just a question of replacing the brake shoes and putting it all back together. So I'm going to crack on with that. Right, some progress has been made. The shoes are back on. That was actually a lot easier replacing them than it was taking them off. Maybe it was just getting the knack of it, I don't know. But now I'm going to put the drum back on and button it all back up. Right, glove back on. So as the bearing rotates on that, so this wants to be covered in fresh grease, because obviously I cleaned it all off when I took it apart, but we're now going to have to replace that. So don't be afraid to put too much on there, but obviously you have to go over the top. There we go. This might need a bit of relocating because obviously the shoes have been disturbed, so yeah. Where's my hammer? Right, stupid me. I need to wind the shoes in before I can get the drum back on, because obviously everything's been disturbed, so I'll get my spanner out and wind those in a bit, then we should be able to put the drum straight back on. Right, well, some considerable faffing later, I've got the shoes wound in. So I didn't have the right tool to do the job, but I've got round with a multi-spline socket, and that dislocates on the back there. Get the torch here, you can see. Right, so that's freed off. That's with the shoes wound in all the way. They're playing the bearing. So I can now just wind them back in again until they start to bind. Right, so I'm just going to check the handbrake and see if that's locking on. If not, I can apply a bit more windage on the shoes. I'll be back. Right, handbrake is on, so with the handbrake on, I can't turn that, so I'd say that's working a treat. Obviously I'd have more leverage if the wheel was on, but I can't turn that, so I'm going to check the handbrake, take the handbrake off, and then see if that rotates again. And if that's okay, we've got the shoes about where they want to be. Handbrake is off. Oh, that's interesting, they've locked again, so yeah, you can hear the shoes just ever so slightly touching the drums. That's about where it wants to be. So I'd say, yeah, job done. I'll button the back wheel on and we can no, we've got to bleed the brakes next. Joy. Right, so I've got my one-man easy bleed system set up. So I'm going to leave the camera down here and hopefully you'll see some fluid come down the one-way pipe. And that appears to be leaking from the union. Great. Well, that wasn't the outcome I was hoping for. I can't do that union up anymore, it starts to round off. What I'm probably going to have to do is replace that short bit of pipe, complete with unions attached, but what a pain in the arse. Yeah, I'm going to stop there today, have a cup of tea, drown my sorrows, and at least the well cylinder's in place, so that's one hurdle out of the way, but what a pain in the arse. Anyway, just to show you it doesn't always go according to plan. I'll be back in a week or two when I've got some parts and we'll crack on with the rest of it, and hopefully we can get some working brakes. Until then, see you soon.